Hey, what's up, JoJo in the Morning family? I hope you are having a really, really good day. I want to talk to you about moving forward and advancing in times and seasons when, honestly, the last thing on your mind is moving forward and advancing. Remember this: tough times don't last, but tough people do. You know, there's been times in my life when it was the best of times. There's been times that I felt it was the worst of times. There's times that my health has been great. There's been times I struggled in health. There's been times finances have been great. There's been times finances have been tight. There's been times the church was just phenomenal. There's been times, you know, crowds were small, finances were small. There's all types of stuff happen. That's what it says in Ecclesiastes. There is a time for everything. Okay? But what I want to talk to you about is moving forward in tough times. You know, you ever been driving down the road and it starts raining? No big deal. It really starts raining? No big deal. Then it really, really starts raining. Well, you see a lot of people pull over at convenience stores. A lot of people pull over on the side of the road with their flashers on. But then there's some people, they may put their hazards on, but they just kind of slow down a little bit, but they just keep going. They just keep on moving forward. You know, I don't know what type of person you are in the weather, but you just got to keep moving. Now, when you're going through a rough time, there's a few things that you need. Number one, you need to increase your time with the Lord. You need to make sure that you put yourself in a position to hear God. You also need to find some people that will give you wise counsel. Now, let me tell you what wise counsel is. I give wise counsel because this is what I always say. When people tell me something, my answer is the same for everything. What did the Lord say? Well, what do you feel the Lord is saying in this situation? What do you think God's trying to do in your life in this situation? You know, then I'll give them some natural things, but I always point them back to the Lord. Like, I remember sometimes somebody said, look, I just can't really hear God right now. I want to know your advice. I said, look, I'll give you the JoJo Dawson advice. But my best advice to you is find out what the Lord is saying. Now, I'll give you some action steps that will push you closer towards what you're trying to accomplish. But my main step is go on a fast and hear the Lord. In tough times, I think of the saddest stories in the Bible is Jacob and Esau, okay? So Jacob was cooking some red stew. Esau was a hunter. He was out in the, wilderness, the fields. He was hunting, doing his thing. Well, he was coming in one day. Well, Jacob went kind of more towards away from the house on the edge of the property and was cooking some red stew. Well, Esau came in from the field and he said, I'm famished. I'm literally starving. Give me some of that red stew. Jacob, his brother, should have gave him some, but he said, Esau, you're the oldest, therefore you get the majority of the birthright. Swear to me this day you're going to give me your birthright. And he said, I don't care, you can have whatever, just give me some of that red stew. Okay, he gave away his birthright for a bowl of stew. Some soup. Gave it away. Now, if you know the story of Jacob and Esau, their family was not poor. They probably had people working for them. If Esau would have pressed in a little bit further, he could have went into the family's kitchen. He could have went into where a meal was being served. He could have kept going just a little bit further and kept his birthright, but he didn't. He caved in because he wanted it now. So many times when you are going through a rough time, this is when people stumble, they fall, they go back to something that will bring them comfort, something that they think will help them in this situation. I remember when I was younger and finances were tight, I was always the type of guy that would make something happen, and that's good, and that's good. But I remember one day I said, God, I'm tired of just making it happen, just pay a bill at the end of a month. Show me something I can do that will provide a long-term solution to our finances. Show me something I can create, okay? Instead of just fixing it right now, I wanted to go long-term. See, if Esau would have said, no, brother, I'm not going to pay for your red stew. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep my birthright. And so many times in life, people, they stop, they give in. You know, what I said about tough times don't last, tough people do. I can't tell you how many times when the economy's rough, I see certain people make it and some people don't. You know, when the economy is rough, one of the things that happens is a lot of smaller businesses go out. Well, why is that a lot of times? Because an older, more established business, they will get part of their profits or proceeds from a good season and they will put it back. And in the midst of a bad season, they will be able to do that. A lot of people who make wise investments, what they do is they build up a savings account, or they buy, land, or they buy something, they buy stocks that in a rough season they will be able to sell them. And so what you got to understand is people aren't prepared for rough times. Okay, there's a lot of people who aren't prepared. Now, it's good. Listen, this is good. When people in a rough time, they fast and they pray and they cry out to God. Now, that's good, okay? But strong people fast and pray and cry out to God even in the good times. They built that history with God, okay? And that's where we got to be. It's I remember one day I had the honor to do a funeral for somebody, and it was for an older person, so that can be a celebration. When an older person that's been walking with God, they pass away. And I remember the children and even the grandchildren, that the children who were walking with God, their parents had taught them to put your hope and your trust and your faith in the Lord. They were sad, but they were okay, and they were celebrating their time on earth with their parents. The other kids that were emotionally weak and damaged, and they didn't really walk with God, and they didn't value their parents. They just kind of, I don't even want to say the word like used, but they just took what they could from them. They didn't build a strong bond with them, okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm going somewhere with this. They were, upset at the funeral, but it was different. It was like, man, they're my life support. They're the ones I talk to. They're the ones that we need finance, they help us. They're all this and all that. And what they were saying, I understood, but I told them, I said, hey, everything that you always look to your parents for, also in a spiritual sense, God can provide that. And so I saw people who were rooted in God with a strong mind, and people who weren't rooted with God with a weaker mind, how they assessed a situation totally different. And so whenever things happen in life, you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared in a lot of areas. Now, I'm a health coach with Optavia, so I got to talk about health. I've seen people who, like, let's say that, you ever seen like a common cold or the flu or something, or a little, what they call a bug, that's what we call it in Texas, a little bug kind of went through. And people who are healthy, it doesn't really affect them that bad. People that aren't healthy, their body is fighting their unhealthy habits already, and then they fight that bug. They're fighting two things. But when somebody whose health is in check, it kind of just went through. I remember we were talking about a little certain something that some people got. And some people are like, oh my goodness, it knocked me on my tail for a week. And somebody else said, yeah, man, it knocked me on my tail for a week, man. I was out of work. And they said, man, good thing you didn't get it. And I said, well, I don't know. I kind of felt a little different for about a week, that same week. They said, well, did it knock you on your tail? I said, no, brother. I kept on trucking because my health was in check. And so, it's the same way spiritually. People who are spiritually, they're okay. The economy's been a little shaken up in certain. There's like 11 sectors that make up the major economy of our nation, and there's only a few sectors that are really thriving right now. And so I was talking to some wise men the other day, and they're like, yeah, man, our business is struggling, this and that, and things. And I said, man, y'all went on like 2-3 vacations this summer. They're like, yeah, oh, well, we had that money put back. Our business is okay because we've been around a while. We have money put back. Okay. Wise thinking. Somebody the other day, I was talking to them, and when I say the other day, y'all, that might be 2 years ago, but they were talking about, I was talking to them, and they're like, I said, how's it going? They said, great, man. Things are good, and his life's good, bro. And I'm like, yeah. We started talking. He said, what's going on? And this dude told me like 3 things in a row that were like downers, like boom, boom, boom. But his attitude was so good. And I said, bro, you lost a loved one. You had a business go down. Some stuff happened to you. He said, man, let me tell you something. God's good. I said, you better tell me about this. He said, let me tell you, God's so good. I've lost a loved one before. I knew he would get me through. If I could play an organ, I'd play my organ. And he said, I've had my business go down before, and it always came back up. I felt bad before, but God brought me through. And I said, come on, man. I said, you're the type of people I like hanging out with. Listen, there was a storm going on. The disciples were scared, and my Jesus was taking a nap. And he said, oh, you just got to get up and rebuke that storm. He said, peace be still. You messing with my nap. Listen, this rough patch you're going through, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm 49 years young. And I don't ever sit back and say, oh, I remember when this one time was so bad. Oh, no. I don't ever talk about that. It's like, man, I tell you what. I had somebody, this is about 3 years ago. This is a joker came in, a little young person. They're telling me how bad. I wasn't being rude, y'all. You know me, I'm so nice. But this young person came in. They told me how bad. I got to talk to you, Apostle. I got to talk to you, Apostle. Man, I got some bad stuff happening. They came in. We were kind of talking. And I said, hey, I got a lot going on today, but I want to help you. So tell me what's going wrong. What's so bad that I can help you with it. This young person looked at me and they said, Apostle, I just told you everything that was going on. I was not being rude, y'all. I just started laughing. And I said, hang on. What you just told me was what's so bad in your life? And they were like, yes, sir. Is it not that bad? I said, oh, no, child. That's really not that bad. That's really not that bad. I said, in fact, what you call bad, I think is average. It's not bad at all. He said, oh, okay. And all of a sudden, when I started talking to him, his mindset started shifting. We started talking. He sat up straighter, stuck his chest out, got a smile on his face, and I said, oh, let me tell you something. When I was your age, I went through stuff like that. And I thought it was big too. But now I'm like, oh, that's small things. I said, you're going to go through some other things and they're going to be a little bit bigger. He'll get you through them. Then you'll go through something a little bit bigger than that and he'll get you through that. You'll go through something a little bit bigger than that. He'll get you through that. He said, do you still go through stuff? I said, oh, all the time. But I go through it. I don't camp out. I don't pitch a tent. I don't buy a house in that little valley. I just keep going through because I got some other places to go. I got some other things to do. See, what happened was he found somebody in me that he could talk to that would increase his faith. I called one of my mentors one day and I said, man, I got some stuff I need to talk about. And when I got done, they were like, is that what you want to talk about? I said, yes, sir. He said, oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I remember recently in our health coaching business, some of our health coaches at the top of our business, they're friends with John Maxwell. And when the economy kind of started shaking, stuff started, kind of happening in the economy. Well, John Maxwell was with these gentlemen, and he said he would do a quick video for our health coaching teams. So he got on there and he was like, hey, y'all are okay. The economy goes up, the economy goes down. The economy goes up, the economy goes down. If your business is down, you're going to be okay. And everybody on the training was like, oh, okay. There was no fear because somebody spoke reason. Tough times don't last. Tough times don't last. I saw a gentleman the other day that 5 years ago, when I say down, he was down to the down. He was down low. He was down on his luck. I'm just going to say it was bad. I saw him the other day. He hops out of this brand new truck. He was dressed nice. This lady got out of the other side of his truck. Little lovebirds. They grabbed hands, were walking into a nice restaurant. I said, hey, what's up, man? He said, God has been so good to me. He said, remember when I talked to you last? I said, yeah. He said, I talked to about 5 people that I knew would bring encouragement to me. And you were one of them. Another pastor in town was one of them. I called a businessman I knew. I called a preacher in another city I knew. And I had a family member I knew. And all of a sudden, the 5 of y'all at different times spoke into my life. I got a new job. I got new clothes. I got a new truck. And I got a new wife. And I got a new life. Because God has been so good to me. I don't care what you're going through. Let me tell you something. God is good. God is good. And He is faithful. JoJo in the Morning family, listen, I love you guys. God is faithful. If you need prayer for anything, you can message me. Go to the website, jojodawson.net. Go to the contact button, hit the place for prayer. If you're struggling right now, you better message me. I want to pray for you, and I want to pray breakthrough over your life. God is good. Love y'all.